Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel once again. I am Robert Storms. If you like this video, please do me a favor and click that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay up to date on all future content here on my channel. I came across some news a little while ago that I didn't know was real until I looked into it. And apparently Kevin Smith is going to be producing a He-Man and the Masters of the Universe sequel series for Netflix. And literally, I went from being a 35-year-old to a 6-year-old once again. This is probably some of the best news I've gotten in months. I am a massive He-Man fan. My first ever Halloween, I trick-or-treated as He-Man. I even enjoy the movie, even though a lot of people dislike the movie. I'm a major fan of that movie. It just gets me every time at the end when He-Man grabs that sword. Now, according to this article, it says that Kevin Smith will be producing the series and that is going to be a direct sequel to the 1980s series, and that Kevin Smith will also be the showrunner. And this is the best part for me. This is the best part. Y'all like the KevinSmithHe-Man series? Y'all like that? Well, guess what? They're going to be providing the animation. That's right, guys. Like, I was super excited when I found out about the She-Ra show coming to Netflix. And then when I seen the animation, I just went like, oh, okay. To me, I don't understand why they keep taking these great shows and they keep giving like these really kiddie-ish animations. Like, you can make an epic animated show. Castlevania's done it. Voltron has done it. And to hear that the people behind the Netflix Castlevania series is doing the animation for He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, I'm like, oh my God. You know, screw the He-Man reboot movie that keeps getting, pushed back, which again, it got pushed back. Every month we find out there's like a new director, a new writer attached to the Masters of the Universe movie. But if this show can get the Castlevania animation, right, and it's produced and show ran by Kevin Smith, absolutely. If like Kevin Smith grew up in the 80s, he knows what He-Man's all about. And if you guys ever read the DC comics, right, of He-Man and Masters of the Universe, it's some dark stuff, man. We see the Sorceress of Eternia get her head completely decapitated by Skeletor. There's a lot of deep stuff going on within those comic books, and I absolutely love the comics. I had every last issue until, unfortunately, I had to sell my collection due to a major car accident I was in. But I still go back and reread them online digitally, and I'm a massive He-Man fan, guys. Like He-Man was my first true addiction as a kid. Like my earliest memory was He-Man, and I love that show so much. And to find out that this is gonna be a direct sequel to the 1980s cartoon makes me even more excited. I can't wait. I hope they update the animation. I don't want to see Skeletor kind of look like Skeletor from the 1980s. I want to see more the way he looks like within these DC comics, where he looks like this real menacing figure. And I want to see more of an exploration of, like Teela and He-Man and the Sorcerer and Man-at-Arms. I want them to kind of dive more into what these DC comics were able to dive in, because they took something that relatively is silly and made it really adult, really edgy, and really more like a sci-fi fantasy. And if Kevin Smith is as big a fan of He-Man as I think he is, as someone who grew up in the 80s, Kevin Smith's a little bit older than me, but we all came around the same time frame. He's the perfect person to produce this show, to showrun this show, and to give a direct sequel to the 1980s He-Man. To me, you know what that tells me? I need to catch up on the 1980s He-Man. I gotta go back and rewatch those shows. It's been decades since I've seen the 1980s He-Man. I don't even remember what the last episode was. I have to go back, and hopefully this succeeds. Hopefully this succeeds for not only Kevin Smith, but for Netflix and He-Man, because if this succeeds, then we can go and get Thundercats, which was my second love in the 80s as a kid. I was a major fan of He-Man, which brought me into Thundercats, and I can't tell you how many times playing with those action figures I had a He-Man Thundercat crossover, like He-Man meet Lino, Sword of Omen versus the Sword of Eternia, and major fan of He-Man, and this just brightened up my day, and I can't wait for this to happen. But I want to know what you guys think. Are you a fan of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe? Are you looking forward to Kevin Smith show running and producing this Netflix animated series animated by the people that brought us Castlevania? Be sure to leave those comments in the comment box below. And until next time, as always, I am Robert Storms, and that's my opinion.